more reaction to the news that Ben Simmons will not show up to training camp, let's bring in Kendrick Perkins and Dave McMenamin. And Perk, I'll start with you. This summer, you were one of the first people to say that you heard Simmons was willing to not report to camp. So what's your reaction to this definitive statement now a week away from camp opening?
Well, Cass, I'm not gonna go into to boasting and bragging and saying I told you so, but I'm gonna do it. I told you so. All right, that's the first thing. Second of all, here it is, right? I'm looking down the line in the future, and you know what? When the CBA is up, guess who's gonna be waiting at the front door? Not the door, the door. It's gonna be Adam Silver and the owners. Because here it is, right? And I get it. Ben Simmons won out. Philly trying to trade him. We don't know what's going to happen. I get all that. But my thing, why I'm disappointed in Ben Simmons is that you have a job. You have an obligation. You're getting paid a whole lot of money. It's guys before you that paved the way for you to make a lot of money. It's your obligation to upheld that so that other guys that come behind you could get paid the same amount of dollars and get paid a lot of letters. And what's going to happen is the next CBA, owners are going to come up, and this is the first thing that they're going to bring up. Hold on, we cannot be paying guys $150 to $250 million over 5 years, and they're not going to show up to work. And I'm all in for player empowerment, but at the end of the day, players got to make sure that they do their part and stay true professionals. That's the thing that I don't like about this situation is how Ben Simmons is handling it. I think he's being selfish and he's not worried about nobody else but Ben Simmons. And you have to do your part because others paved the way for you.
Yeah, so basically you're saying it's not a good look all around. Dave, how do you think the threat of the fines changed Simmons' stance of not playing in Philly again?
Well, Cassie, obviously it wouldn't have got to this point unless they had already considered what would come in Philadelphia's response. And Adrian and Bobby Marks reported this to be close to $250,000 per game missed, potentially fined towards Ben Simmons. But on the back end of that is, what does Philly want? Does Philly want to recoup the salary they're going to pay Ben Simmons, or do they want to field a competitive team? And as Adrian mentioned, if they get off to a slow start, especially in the East where the defending champion Milwaukee Bucks are in their conference, you have the Brooklyn Nets, if they're healthy, you have the Miami Heat who made their team better in the offseason, and you want to be a contender in Philadelphia, do you keep stomaching having him on the sidelines while you aren't plugging something in for him and getting back into that Eastern Conference race? Or do you decide the long-term benefit is, hey, we will not trade, 2 quarters for $1? And this is the game that we're seeing play out right now. What has changed in the league, I think, over the last several seasons is this coming to a head when a player still has several years remaining on his contract.
Right.
In years past, it was, okay, it's the last year of the deal. Let's see if we can work something out because I'm going to be gone as a free agent. We've seen this with Jimmy Butler. We've seen this with Kyrie Irving. We've seen with Anthony Davis. With several years left on their deal, they're pressing the eject button.
Perk, as I mentioned with Woj, Ben Simmons' trade value was probably at its lowest coming out of those finals, out of the playoffs, rather. And you're talking about how the mood around him, he just looks selfish. So how do you evaluate his trade value right now?
I mean, obviously it's low, but look, Ben Simmons is still an all-star caliber player, okay? He did make the all-star team last year. He's still a guy in the right system that could go out there and give you 18, 7, and 7 a night. Right, he did lead the NBA last year in assisted three-pointers. So in the right situation, I think Ben Simmons will be just fine. I just think last year when you look at Ben Simmons, it didn't start in the playoffs. He lost his confidence throughout the season. And why I say that is because Joel Embiid was the guy that was featured. Ben Simmons was the guy that was being the facilitator. And when you play that way throughout the course of the season, you can't expect a guy like Ben Simmons just to turn it on at the drop of a dime, a guy that already lacked confidence in shooting the ball and being a scoring threat anyway. So at the end of the day, I think he still has a lot of value because Ben Simmons still is a guy that is young. He hasn't even touched his prime yet. So I think that Philly can get back some things, but they're just not going to get back what they want. And what they want is an MVP caliber player or an all NBA type player. And I don't know if they're going to get that.
And Dave, to your point on players holding out, we saw James Harden last year have a brief holdout at training camp. Then he showed up and kind of took a lax approach to playing, then ultimately got traded. But Ben Simmons doesn't have James Harden trade value, so we will see.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.